question. And secondly, are there a certain class of people for whom there never really was a pandemic anyway? Because for them, life continued pretty much as normal.
Is the pandemic over?
The pandemic is over. We still have a problem with COVID. We're still doing a lot of work on it. But the pandemic is over.
Okay, so there we have it. The pandemic is over. Cause for optimism, cause for joy and celebration. Finally, some good news we can get behind. But during the point of the pandemic that most people were concerned to some degree or another about the outcomes, the impact financially, medically, socially, etc., do you know who we were invited to take into our hearts as heroes? Quite rightly, in my view, nurses, teachers, people in services, people that simply had to continue working because their duty and their job demanded it. Why then, if the pandemic is over, is this happening?
Well, in New York City, nearly 2,000 school staffers are out of a job for not complying with the COVID vaccine mandate. According to the New York Post, the Department of Education has fired another 850 teachers and classroom aides after they failed to get the shot. That mandate was opposed by former Mayor Bill de Blasio last October. The DOE told the Post that teachers agreed to show proof of vaccination by September or be considered, quote, to have voluntarily resigned.
Like, that's really tyrannical. This is brilliant, I think. You know, people talk about Orwellian tyranny a lot, don't they? But did you hear that bit of language? Either show proof of vaccination or you've voluntarily resigned. That's just kind of a form of tyranny that only the greatest prophets could have conceived was coming. It's so sort of bureaucratic, gentle. It's so numb and numbing. It's so devoid of like symbol and fascistic power as we're supposed to identify it, as we've been trained to recognize it. It's so banal. If you've not been vaccinated, we'll take that as your resignation. You did not comply. We're being marched towards a technocratic, technological dictatorship where a cadre of experts determine what is necessary, then through technology, those powers are implemented. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say, well, look, what Biden's saying is the pandemic is over, and in part it's over because of the success of the vaccination program, so these teachers should be vaccinated in order to ensure. But we know now that the vaccine doesn't prevent transmission. We know that now. We know that natural immunity is more effective. Certainly there are significant studies that suggest that. So at this point, if the pandemic is over, how can you possibly justify sacking those people? How can you justify it? Would you seek to justify it? Let me know in the comments below if you think that those teachers should lose their jobs for not being vaccinated.